Commander James Mackenzie looks at the instrument panel in front of him. The ammo counter reads 2. Just 2 bullets. 650 caliber machine guns and only 2 rounds remaining. His eyes shift to the fuel gauge. The needle rests below the E. Empty. Bone dry. The Pratt & Whitney engine coughs once sputters, then continues its labored growl. 100 miles below the USS Essex is a gray speck on an infinite blue carpet. Behind him, scattered across the Philippine sky, 9 Japanese aircraft are tumbling toward the ocean in flames. Black smoke trails mark their descent like funeral ribbons against the afternoon sun. The math is simple. The math is impossible. 2 bullets, 1 gallon of fuel, 120 miles to home, and James Mackenzie is still alive. His hands rest on the control stick. Steady, no tremor. 34 years old, and every single one of those years shows in the deep lines around his eyes, in the gray already threading through his dark hair. Fighter pilots are supposed to be young. 22, 23 faces, still smooth reflexes, still lightning fast. But Mackenzie is old, ancient by fighter pilot standards. And today, that age saved his life. The radio crackles. Static. Then a voice from the Essex, distant and distorted. Consumer 1, say fuel state. Mackenzie keys the mic. His voice is calm, flat. Dry, I repeat, dry. Silence on the other end, then quieter now, almost a prayer. Copy Consumer 1. Deck is clear. Pray you make it. Mackenzie looks at the photograph taped to his instrument panel. A woman with kind eyes and dark hair pulled back. Half Chinese, half American, holding a small boy. The boy is maybe 5 years old, gap-toothed smile, holding a model Hellcat fighter in his pudgy hands. Hannah, Jimmy, his wife, his son. I'm coming home, Mackenzie whispers to the photograph. I promised. And the screen goes black. The date rewinds. 6 hours earlier, October 24th, 1944. Naval War College, Newport, Rhode Island. Present day. The instructor is young, maybe 30. He stands at the front of a classroom filled with naval aviation candidates, their dress whites crisp and perfect. On the projection screen behind him, a black and white photograph. A pilot in the cockpit of an F-6F Hellcat. The pilot's face is mostly hidden by his leather helmet and oxygen mask, but his eyes are visible. Calm eyes. Old eyes. The instructor taps the screen with his pointer. October 24th, 1944. The Battle of Leyte Gulf. The largest naval engagement in human history. He pauses, lets that sink in. The Philippine Sea. 70 miles north of the American fleet, radar picks up a massive enemy formation. 60 aircraft, Zeros, Skers, Tonys, all inbound to strike the carriers. The students lean forward. This is why they're here. To learn from history. To understand what men did when the stakes were total and the odds were death. The Essex has launched every available fighter, the instructor continues. The deck is fouled from earlier operations. They can only scramble 7 planes, 7 American fighters to intercept 60 Japanese. A hand goes up. Sir, did they call for backup? No time. The Japanese formation is already inbound. 7 fighters take off. And then one by one, 5 of them abort. Mechanical failures, engine trouble, low fuel. Within minutes, only 2 American fighters remain airborne. The classroom is silent now. You could hear a pin drop. The instructor clicks to the next slide. A simple equation appears on screen. 60 versus 2. You're the flight leader, the instructor says. What's your move? Hands shoot up immediately. Retreat, sir. Call for backup. Dive away and preserve the aircraft. Live to fight another day. The instructor nods. All tactically sound decisions. All the smart play. He pauses, looks at each student in turn. Commander James Mackenzie chose none of those options. Another click. The screen shows the pilot again. And now you can see it. The slight upturn at the corner of his mouth. Not quite a smile, but close. He turned his fighter toward the enemy formation, the instructor says quietly, and he attacked. The screen fades, dissolves. Time slides backward. USS Essex, Western Pacific. October 24th, 1944, 0530 hours. The stateroom is small, cramped, just enough space for a bunk, a tiny desk, a locker for uniforms. James Mackenzie sits at the desk, fountain pen in hand, writing on cream-colored stationery. The paper is good quality. Hannah insisted on that before he shipped out. "If you're going to write to me," she'd said, "at least write on proper paper." The letter begins the way they always begin. "My dearest Hannah." He pauses, stares at those 3 words. How many letters has he written that started exactly like this? 50, 100. Every time he flies, he writes one, just in case. Most of them he tears up when he lands safely, but he always writes them. "If you are reading this letter from the Navy chaplain instead of from me directly, then I have failed to keep my promise." His hand stops. He looks at the photograph on his desk. Hannah in the garden of their San Diego home holding Jimmy. The boy is laughing, reaching for the camera. Mackenzie can almost hear that laugh, high and bright and filled with joy. "Tell Jimmy that his father loved him more than anything in this world. Tell him that every mission I flew, every sortie, every engagement I flew thinking of coming home to him. To you, tell him." The klaxon sounds, loud, insistent. Battle stations. All hands, general quarters. Mackenzie doesn't finish the sentence. He crumples the letter, drops it in the small trash bin beside his desk. He'll write another one later. After the mission. When he comes back. If he comes back. He picks up the photograph, touches Hannah's face with one finger. "Promise me you'll come home," she'd said the morning he deployed. "Jimmy needs his father." Her voice echoes in his memory, soft and certain. "Promise me, Jim." "I promise," he'd told her. And James Mackenzie doesn't break his promises. He tucks the photo into the breast pocket of his flight suit, grabs his leather helmet, and heads for the flight deck. The Essex is a city of controlled chaos. 3,000 men moving with purpose, each one a cog in a vast machine designed for one thing: projecting American power across the Pacific. Mackenzie climbs the ladder to the flight deck, and the noise hits him like a physical force. Engines roaring, propellers spinning, deck crews shouting orders over the thunder. The sky is just beginning to lighten. Dawn is maybe 30 minutes away. The ocean is dark blue, almost black, stretching to the horizon in every direction. Somewhere out there beyond the curve of the earth, the Japanese empire is dying, but dying empires are dangerous. They lash out. They gamble everything on desperate plays. Chief Mechanic Danny O'Brien jogs over, clipboard in hand. He's maybe 50, face weathered by decades at sea, hands permanently stained with grease and oil. "Commander, you already flew dawn patrol. You need rest." Mackenzie shakes his head. "What's the situation?" O'Brien glances at his clipboard, but Mackenzie knows he doesn't need to read it. The chief has every aircraft status memorized. "We've got maybe 7 birds that can fly. Everything else is down for maintenance or refueling. And sir, with respect, you landed 30 minutes ago with bullet holes in your fuselage. You're spent." "Can I fly or can I?" O'Brien sighs. Knows better than to argue with Mackenzie when he gets that tone. "Mincy 3 is ready, but she's only got partial fuel load. We didn't have time to top her off." "How much?" "Maybe 3/4. Enough for patrol, not enough for extended engagement." Mackenzie nods. "It'll do." "Sir, skip this one. Let the younger guys handle it." Mackenzie almost smiles at that. The younger guys, kids really, most of them barely old enough to drink legally. Good pilots, sure. Aggressive, fearless, fast. But not disciplined, not patient, not old enough to know that sometimes the best move is to wait, to watch, to let the enemy make the mistake first. "I'll be fine, Chief." O'Brien shakes his head but steps aside. "Your bird's number 17, Hannah's Hope. I had the boys paint the name last week like you asked." Mackenzie looks across the deck. There she is, an F-6F Hellcat dark blue paint white star insignia on the fuselage, and below the cockpit in elegant script, Hannah's Hope. The Hellcat is not a beautiful airplane, it's blunt, heavy, utilitarian. The pilots call it the aluminum tank. It was built for one purpose: to kill the Japanese Zero. And it does that job with brutal efficiency. 2,000 horsepower Pratt and Whitney radial engine, 650 caliber machine guns in the wings, armor plating around the cockpit, and ammunition, lots of ammunition, 2,400 rounds, almost double what some fighters carry. Mackenzie climbs into the cockpit, settles into the seat. The leather is worn smooth, molded to his body from hundreds of flights. He straps in. 5-point harness. Tight. Checks the instruments. Oil pressure good. Hydraulics good. Guns armed. He pulls Hannah's photograph from his pocket, tapes it to the instrument panel where he can see it, touches it once gently. The radio crackles to life. All fighters, this is Essex Actual. We have bogey inbound, raid 1, 70 miles north, multiple contacts, estimated 60 aircraft. I say again, 60 aircraft. 60 planes. Mackenzie's hand pauses on the throttle. 60. The voice continues. All available fighters scramble immediately. This is not a drill. Around him, engines fire up. One by one, the Hellcats roar to life. Deck crews scramble, pulling wheel chocks, signaling pilots. The catapult officer raises his flag. Mackenzie runs through the pre-flight checklist one more time. Everything green, everything ready. He looks at Hannah's photo again. I'm coming back, he says to her. To Jimmy, to himself. The flag drops. The catapult fires. And Hannah's hope rockets down the flight deck, gaining speed, and then she's airborne, climbing into the pearl gray dawn. 7 fighters form up in loose formation, climbing through 5,000 feet. Mackenzie takes the lead. He's CAG, Commander Air Group 15. His job is to coordinate, to manage the battle, not to fight it himself. But today there's no time for management. Today is about survival. The radio fills with chatter, nervous voices, young voices. Consumer lead, this is Consumer 5. I've got oil pressure fluctuating. Roger 5, maintain formation. Then another voice. Lead, this is 3. Engine temp is climbing into the red. Mackenzie grits his teeth. Not now, not today. 3, can you continue? A pause, then reluctantly. Negative lead, I'm aborting. 1 down, then another. Lead Consumer 4, my fuel gauge is showing half empty. I don't have enough for combat and return. Abort 4, return to base. 2 down. Within 5 minutes, 5 of the 7 fighters have turned back. Engine failures, fuel issues, hydraulic problems, the kind of mechanical gremlins that plague carrier operations. Any other day, it would be acceptable losses. Today, it's catastrophic. Mackenzie keys his radio. Consumer 2, you still with me? A voice responds. Young, Brooklyn accent, thick as concrete. Still here, CAG, right on your 6. Ensign Tommy Rivera, 22 years old, son of a longshoreman. Grew up in Red Hook, Brooklyn, working the docks with his old man before the war. Only 8 combat missions under his belt. Barely qualified, but loyal. And right now, loyalty matters more than experience. You scared, Ensign? Mackenzie asks. A pause, then honest. Terrified, sir. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Stay on my wing. Do exactly what I do. Yes, sir. Mackenzie climbs higher. 12,000 feet, 15,000, 18,000. The air gets thinner, colder. The Hellcat shudders in the prop wash but holds steady. Below them, the Pacific stretches endlessly. Above them, the sky lightens from gray to pale blue. And then they see it. The Japanese formation appears on the horizon like a dark stain against the sky. Massive. A V-shape. 60 aircraft in tight formation. Zeros on the outside. Dive bombers in the center. All heading south. All heading for the American fleet. Rivera's voice comes through the radio, pitched higher now. CAG, count. Jesus, there's so many of them. Mackenzie doesn't respond immediately. He's doing the math. 60 versus 2, 30 to 1 odds. The smart move is to turn around, dive away, preserve the aircraft, live to fight another day, come home to Hannah, to Jimmy. But below them, the Essex sits exposed. 3,000 sailors. And beyond that, the invasion beaches at Leyte. Thousands of Marines pinned down, counting on the Navy to keep the Japanese Air Force away. If those 60 bombers reach the fleet, men will die. Good men. American men. Mackenzie thinks about his father. Thomas Mackenzie, steel mill foreman in Bessemer, Alabama. Worked the furnaces for 40 years. Came home every night with his hands, burned his lungs full of smoke, his back aching. But he never quit. Not once, never left a job half done. Mackenzie's don't quit, son, his father had told him when he was 8 years old the day his mother died. When the work is hard, that's when you dig deeper. That's when you prove what you're made of. Mackenzie's hand tightens on the control stick. Rivera's voice again. CCAG, what's the play? Below them, Hannah. Jimmy, the photograph taped to the instrument panel. Above them, 60 enemy aircraft. Mackenzie makes his choice. He opens the throttle. The Pratt and Whitney engine roars. The Hellcat surges forward, climbing higher, positioning above the Japanese formation. Rivera sounds confused. Sir, you're heading toward them. I know. Sir, there's 60 of them and 2 of us. I can count, Ensign. A pause, then quieter. Are we really doing this? Mackenzie looks at the Japanese formation. They haven't seen the 2 Americans yet. They're flying lazy, confident in their numbers. Undisciplined. Listen to me carefully, Tommy, Mackenzie says, using the young pilot's first name for the first time. We're not going to dogfight them. If we try to turn with those zeros, we're dead in 30 seconds. Then what are we doing? We're going to herd them like wolves hunting sheep. We stay above them, use our altitude advantage, dive in, take a shot, climb back out before they can react. Boom and zoom, over and over. We don't chase them. We don't get drawn into a turning fight. We just pick them off, one at a time. Sir, even if we do that perfectly, we can't kill 60 planes. We don't have to kill 60 planes, Mackenzie says. We just have to scare them into dropping their bombs. Make them think they were under attack by a whole squadron. Make them abort. Rivera is silent for a moment. Then in Mackenzie can hear the tremor in his voice, the kid trying to sound braver than he feels. I'm with you, CAG. Good man, stay on my wing, watch your ammo. Short bursts only. And Tommy. Yes, sir. When this is over, first round's on me. A shaky laugh. You got a deal, sir. Mackenzie climbs to 25,000 feet. The Hellcat strains at this altitude, the engine working hard in the thin air. But up here, he's invisible. The sun is rising behind them now, golden and brilliant. Perfect. The Japanese will be looking into the sun blind to what's above them. He watches the formation below, studies it, looks for weaknesses, and he sees it. The V formation is tight in the center, but the outer edges are loose. Stragglers, pilots who aren't keeping position. Those are the targets, the weak ones, the slow ones. He keys the radio one more time. We work the stragglers. Understood. Roger that. Mackenzie pulls out a cigar stub from his flight suit pocket. He's had this cigar since his final exams at the Naval Academy. Never lit it, never smoked it, just chewed on it when he needed to think. It's his lucky charm. Stupid, probably. Superstitious. But everyone has their rituals. He puts the cigar between his teeth, tastes the tobacco, and then he rolls the Hellcat over and dives. The airspeed climbs rapidly. 200 miles per hour. 300. 350. The Hellcat shudders under the G-forces. The control stick vibrates in his hands. Wind screams past the canopy. His vision narrows, blood draining from his head as gravity pulls everything downward. Below him, a lone Zero flies on the outer edge of the Japanese formation. The pilot hasn't seen him yet, hasn't looked up, doesn't know death is falling from the sky at 400 miles per hour. Mackenzie lines up the shot. The gun sight reticle settles on the Zero's engine, cowling. 800 yards, 600, 400, 300. Close enough. His finger touches the trigger, and the entire world explodes in fire and thunder. 650 caliber machine guns erupt simultaneously. The sound is catastrophic, a rolling thunder that drowns out even the roar of the engine. The Hellcat shudders as 20 rounds per second pour from each wing. Tracers arc through the air, bright orange lines connecting Mackenzie's plane to the Zero below. The Japanese pilot never knew what hit him. The first rounds punched through the Zero's thin aluminum skin like it's tissue paper. The fighter has no armor, no protection. It was built for speed and agility, not survival. The bullets tear through the engine, through the fuel tank, through the cockpit, and then the Zero simply comes apart. The right wing shears off. The fuselage erupts in orange flame. Black smoke pours from the wreckage as it tumbles toward the ocean, spinning, disintegrating, falling. Mackenzie doesn't watch it die. His eyes are already on the altimeter, the airspeed indicator, the horizon line. He pulls back hard on the stick. The G-forces slam him into his seat. His vision grays at the edges. Blood drains from his head. But he keeps pulling, keeps climbing, using the immense speed from the dare to rocket back up to altitude. The Hellcat climbs like a homesick angel. 5,000 feet, 10,000, 15,000, back into the sun, back into invisibility. Below him, the Japanese formation erupts into chaos. Pilots break from their tight V, scanning the sky, trying to find the attacker. Radio chatter floods their frequencies. Voices shouting in Japanese, panicked, confused. Where did he come from? How many are there? Did anyone see them? Mackenzie levels off at 20,000 feet, pulls the Hellcat into a wide, lazy turn. His breathing is controlled, steady. His heart rate is elevated, but not racing. This is what separates the old pilots from the young ones. The young ones get excited. Their adrenaline spikes. They make mistakes. The old ones stay calm. They treat combat like a math problem. Calculate, execute, repeat. 1 down, 59 to go. Rivera's voice crackles through the radio. Holy hell, CAG, you got him. Stay focused, Tommy. We're just getting started. Mackenzie watches the Japanese formation below. Several Zeros have peeled off from the main group, climbing, searching for the American fighters. But they're climbing slowly, cautiously. They don't know where to look. They're staring into the rising sun blind. Perfect. Mackenzie waits. Patience. Let them waste fuel. Let them climb into his killing zone. Let them make the mistake. A Zero pulls its nose up, engine straining, trying to reach the altitude where it thinks the Americans are hiding. The pilot is good, experienced. He's scanning the sky systematically, methodically, but he's looking in the wrong direction. Mackenzie rolls inverted, pulls the stick back, and dives again. The second attack is a carbon copy of the first. Dreaming descent, 400 miles per hour. The Zero grows larger in his gun sight. 800 yards, 600, 400. Trigger squeeze. The 50 caliber rounds walk up the Zero's fuselage like a deadly zipper. Cockpit, engine, fuel tank. The explosion is massive this time. The entire aircraft disintegrates in a fireball. Pieces of burning metal spin through the air, trailing smoke. Mackenzie climbs again, back to altitude, back to safety. 2 down. And now the Japanese formation is truly panicking. 120 miles south on the flight deck of the USS Essex, Chief Mechanic Danny O'Brien stands with a group of deck crew listening to the radio chatter. The speaker crackles with static and voices. Mackenzie's voice, calm and professional. Rivera's voice, younger, tighter. And between their transmissions, the sounds of combat, the rattle of machine guns, the roar of engines, the brief, sharp explosions when a plane dies. O'Brien holds a pair of binoculars, but he's not looking through them. He's just holding them, knuckles white, listening, counting. A young sailor next to him, maybe 19, asks quietly, "Chief, how many planes did the commander say were up there?" 60. "And how many of our birds are engaging?" O'Brien doesn't answer immediately. He listens to the radio, hears Mackenzie call out a target, hears the guns fire, hears Rivera confirm the kill. 2, O'Brien says finally. "Just 2. The young sailor's eyes go wide. 2 against 60. You heard me? That's suicide. O'Brien finally raises the binoculars, scans the horizon, even though he knows he can't see anything from this distance. That's Commander Mackenzie. And if I know him, he's not planning on dying today. In the Combat Information Center, deep in the Essex's hull, Lieutenant Sarah Walsh sits at a desk with a pad of paper and a pencil. She's the intelligence officer on duty. Her job is to record radio transmissions during combat operations, make notes, track enemy movements, count kills. She's been doing this job for 18 months. She's heard a lot of combat chatter, listened to a lot of pilots under fire. Most of them sound scared. Some sound excited. A few sound resigned, accepting their death. Mackenzie sounds like he's filing a report. Consumer 2, I have visual on 3 bogies at Angels 12 bearing 270. I'm engaging. Walsh writes it down. 3 bogies, bearing 270. She glances at the clock on the bulkhead. 0942, less than 10 minutes since Mackenzie made contact. The radio erupts with the sound of gunfire. 6 guns, short burst, maybe 2 seconds, then silence. Mackenzie's voice. Splash 1. Walsh makes a mark on her paper. 3rd kill. She counts the timestamps. 3 kills in 9 minutes. The phone on her desk rings. She picks it up. See, Isel Walsh. Lieutenant, this is the Admiral. I want continuous updates on Commander Mackenzie's engagement. Every detail. Walsh straightens in her chair even though the Admiral can't see her. Yes, sir. Commander Mackenzie has splashed 3 enemy aircraft. No damage to our fighters. Enemy formation appears to be breaking up. 3 kills. The Admiral's voice carries surprise. In how long? 9 minutes, sir. Silence on the other end, then quieter. Keep me informed, Lieutenant. Yes, sir. Walsh hangs up, returns to her notepad. The radio crackles again. High above the Pacific, Rivera pulls his Hellcat into position behind a Japanese Oscar fighter. The Oscar is heavier than a Zero, more durable, but still no match for the Hellcat in a diving attack. Rivera's hands are sweating inside his gloves. His heart is hammering so hard he can feel it in his throat. But he does exactly what Mackenzie taught him. Stay calm, line up the shot, short burst, don't waste ammo. The Oscar fills his gun sight. He squeezes the trigger. The Hellcat bucks as the guns fire. Tracers stream out. The Oscar's left wing erupts in flame. The Japanese pilot tries to roll away, but it's too late. The wing folds, snaps off. The Oscar enters a flat spin, plummeting. Splash 1, Rivera reports, trying to keep his voice steady. I got 1 CAG. Good shooting, Tommy. Climb back to altitude. Don't hang around down there. Rivera pulls back on the stick, climbs hard. As he ascends, he sees Mackenzie already diving on another target. The man is a machine, methodical, precise. No wasted movement, no panic, just pure execution. 4 kills now, and the Japanese bombers are starting to react. The Val dive bombers in the center of the formation are the primary targets. They're what the whole mission is about. Each one carries a 500-pound bomb meant for an American carrier. If those bombs reach the fleet, ships will burn. Men will die. But the Val pilots are looking at the chaos around them, watching their Zero escorts getting picked off one by an enemy they can't see, can't fight. And they're making a decision. The first Val jettisons its bomb. The heavy ordnance tumbles away, splashing harmlessly into the ocean below. Then another. Then another. Within 30 seconds, a dozen Vals have dropped their payloads, trading the weight for speed for a chance to escape. Mackenzie sees it happening. Keys his radio. Tommy, the bombers are dumping their loads. Mission accomplished. Fleet is safe. Rivera's voice comes back confused. So we're done. We head home. Mackenzie doesn't answer immediately. He's watching the Japanese formation. 50 planes left, maybe more. And yes, the bombers have aborted. The immediate threat is over. The smart move is to disengage. Return to the Essex, rearm, refuel, live to fight another day. But those fighters will fly again tomorrow. They'll attack another American ship, kill more sailors, more Marines. The war doesn't end just because one mission is complete. The war ends when the enemy can't fight anymore. Mackenzie checks his fuel gauge. Still 3/4. Checks his ammo counter. 1,800 rounds remaining. He's barely touched his ammunition. And the Japanese are running, scattered, disorganized, vulnerable. His father's voice echoes in his memory. Never leave a swim half done, son. Mackenzie makes his decision. Negative, Tommy. We're not done. Those fighters will be back tomorrow. We end this today. Rivera's voice rises slightly. Sir, we proved the point. We saved the fleet. We can go home. Those pilots will bomb another jetty tomorrow. Kill more Americans. We have the ammo. We have the fuel. We finish the job. A long pause. Then Rivera, quieter now. My old man always said you don't leave your partner. Wherever you go, I go. Good man. Let's hunt. Lieutenant Takeshi Yamada pulls his Zero into a hard right turn, scanning the sky. He's 26 years old, a veteran of Pearl Harbor, the Battle of Midway, the Solomon Islands campaign. He's seen combat dozens of times, shot down 4 American planes over the course of the war. He's good, one of the best pilots in the Imperial Navy. And today he's the squadron leader of this 60-plane formation, or what's left of it. Yamada's radio is chaos. Pilots screaming, calling for help, reporting kills. The Americans are everywhere. That's what his pilots are saying. Multiple contacts, high altitude, diving attacks. We can't see them, we can't catch them. But Yamada knows something his pilots don't. He's been counting the voices on the American radio frequency, and he's only heard two distinct voices. Two pilots. Two. His training, his propaganda. Everything he's been taught says this is impossible. Americans are soft, undisciplined. They rely on numbers and industrial might not skill. They don't have the warrior spirit, the Bushido. They'll run when the odds turn against them. But these two Americans aren't running. They're hunting. Yamada keys his radio, switching to the squadron frequency. All aircraft, this is leader. Reform on me. Tight formation. Stay together. They're using altitude advantage. If we stay grouped, they can't pick us off. But his pilots are too scattered, too panicked. Some are already fleeing north back toward Luzon in safety. Others are climbing, searching for an enemy they can't find. The formation is destroyed. The mission is aborted. The bombers have jettisoned their payloads. It's a complete failure. And Yamada feels something he hasn't felt in a long time. Shame. He survived Midway, watched American dive bombers destroy 4 Japanese carriers in 5 minutes, watched the cream of the Imperial Navy's air arm die in fire and smoke. He swore after Midway that he would never underestimate the Americans again. But today he underestimated them. 60 planes, and 2 Americans are tearing them apart. Yamada sees a dark shape diving from above. American fighter, F-6F Hellcat, the same type that destroyed him at Midway. He pulls hard on the stick, trying to turn into the attack. But the Hellcat isn't chasing him. It's diving on one of his wingmen. Guns flash, tracers pour. The wingman Zero explodes. Yamada tries to climb after the Hellcat, but it's already gone. Climbing back to altitude on pure speed and power. The Zero can't follow, can't catch it. The climb rate is too slow. The Hellcat disappears into the sun. For the first time, Yamada understands what's happening. This isn't a battle, it's an execution, and the Americans are the executioners. He keys his radio again. All aircraft, emergency speed, return to base, repeat, return to base. The survivors don't need to be told twice. Zeros and Oscars and Tonys break off, heading north at maximum speed, running. Some of them are damaged, trailing smoke. Others are untouched, but their pilots are broken. Flying straight and level, just trying to get home. Yamada looks back once, scans the sky for the Americans, and he sees them. 2 dark shapes high above, silhouetted against the morning sun. They're not following, not yet, just watching, circling like wolves above a wounded herd. Yamada wonders who they are. What kind of men fly like that? Without fear, without hesitation. He's been taught that Americans value their lives too much, that they'll retreat when faced with superior numbers, that they lack the courage for true sacrifice. But these 2 didn't retreat. They attacked, and they won. If he survives this day, Yamada decides he needs to know their names. Mackenzie watches the Japanese formations scatter and run. 50 planes are fleeing north at emergency speed. The mission is over. The bombers have aborted. The fighters are broken. The fleet is safe. Rivera's voice comes through the radio, excited now. Kieg, they're running. We did it. We actually did it. Mackenzie doesn't respond. He's counting the planes below, counting his ammunition, 2,400 rounds loaded, maybe 1,800 remaining, fuel gauge still showing over half. And the Japanese are running in a disorganized stream, spread out, vulnerable. He thinks about Jimmy, 5 years old, playing with his model airplanes in the backyard. When I grow up, I'm going to be a fighter pilot like you, Dad. The boy's voice so earnest, so full of admiration. What story will he tell Jimmy when he gets home? That he faced 60 planes and then stopped at 5 kills because it was the safe choice, or will he tell him that when the enemy ran, he pursued? That when there was work left to do, he finished it? Mackenzie rolls the Hellcat over, pushes the stick forward, and dives toward the fleeing Japanese fighters. Sieg, what are you doing? Rivera sounds confused. They're retreating. And they'll attack again tomorrow, Mackenzie says. We have ammunition. We have fuel. We're not done. Sir, we're already 100 miles from the Essex. If we go deeper, if something happens, then stay here, Tommy. I won't order you to follow, but I'm going hunting. Silence on the radio. Mackenzie doesn't blame the kid if he turns back. This is beyond the mission parameters, beyond what's tactically sound. This is personal now. This is about finishing what he started. Then Rivera's voice quiet but certain. My old man's a longshoreman, works the Brooklyn docks. He taught me, you never leave a way half done, and you never leave your partner. Mackenzie almost smiles. First round's still on me, Tommy. I'm gonna hold you to that, sir. The two Hellcats dive together, accelerating, pursuing the scattered Japanese formation toward Luzon. Mackenzie lines up on a straggling zero. The Japanese pilot is flying straight and level, just trying to get home. Doesn't know death is behind him. Doesn't see the Hellcat closing the distance. Doesn't know anything until the bullets arrive. Mackenzie fires, short burst. 2 seconds. The Zero's engine explodes. The plane noses over trailing fire. 6 kills. Rivera takes an Oscar on the right side of the formation. Fires. The Oscar's fuel tank ruptures. Orange flame, black smoke, spinning descent. 7 total. The chase continues for another 5 minutes. Mackenzie is conserving ammunition now. Every burst is calculated. Every shot is precise. No spray and pray, just controlled professional violence. He spots 2 Zeros flying in close formation, section leads. Usually you pick one target, but Mackenzie has an idea, a risk. If he times it right, he can take both. If he misses, he'll be vulnerable. Out of position, easy prey for the rest of the formation. He makes the decision in a split second. Dives, builds speed, lines up on the trailing Zero. Fires. The right wing of the Zero shears off. The plane enters a flat spin out of control, but Mackenzie doesn't climb this time. He maintains his dive, slides his gun sight onto the lead Zero. The Japanese pilot hasn't realized his wingman is dead yet, hasn't looked back, hasn't broken formation. Mackenzie fires again. The bullets punch through the fuselage, find the fuel tank. The Zero explodes in a massive fireball. 2 kills, 10 seconds. Rivera's voice awed. Mother of God, CAG, did you just... Stay focused, Tommy. Mackenzie checks his instruments. Ammunition counter is getting low. Maybe 800 rounds remaining. Fuel gauge is at half, and they're 120 miles from the Essex now, deep in enemy territory. Every mile north is a mile they'll have to fly south on dwindling fuel. But the Japanese are still running, and Mackenzie isn't finished. He lines up on another straggler, a Nakajima Oscar engine smoking, already damaged. The pilot is flying slow, trying to nurse his wounded aircraft home. Mackenzie closes in. 400 yards, 300, 200. He squeezes the trigger, and only 3 guns fire. The other 3 are jammed, or empty, or both. The uneven recoil throws the Hellcat sideways. The plane yaws hard to the right. Mackenzie fights the stick, kicks the rudder, trying to compensate. For 2 seconds, maybe 3, he's completely vulnerable. Out of control, a sitting duck, and a Zero drops from above, diving on him, guns flashing. Rivera screams into the radio, "Brake right, CAG, brake right!" Mackenzie throws the stick hard, overrolls the Hellcat into a barrel roll. Tracer rounds pass inches from his canopy. So close he can see the phosphorescence, can almost feel the heat. The Zero overshoots, trying to follow the roll, but losing position. Rivera is already there. His Hellcat drops into the Zero's 6 o'clock. Fires. The Zero comes apart. "I got you, CAG," Rivera says, breathing hard. "I got you." Mackenzie levels out, checks his instruments again. Heart pounding now. First time today he's felt fear. Real fear. He came within inches of dying. He looks at Hannah's photograph on the instrument panel. Close. Too close. He keys the radio. "Good shooting, Tommy. I owe you." "We're even, sir." Mackenzie turns his attention back to the damaged Oscar. It's still there, limping north. He realigns, compensates for the uneven gun setup. Fires carefully. The 3 working guns spit tracers. The Oscar explodes. 8 kills. And Mackenzie's ammunition counter is approaching critical. Maybe 400 rounds left. Enough for 1, maybe 2 more engagements. He looks ahead. The Japanese survivors are scattering into the clouds over Luzon. Most of them will make it home, but not all of them. There's 1 more Zero, flying alone, separated from the others. An easy target. Mackenzie checks his fuel 1 more time. Half tank, long way from home. Engine running rough from the combat stress. He should turn back. He should head for the Essex while he still has fuel. While he's still alive. But there's 1 more target, One more enemy pilot who won't attack Americans tomorrow. Mackenzie pushes the throttle forward and gives chase. The lone Zero is diving toward the cloud deck. The pilot knows he's being hunted. He's trying to reach the safety of the clouds where he can hide where American radar can't follow. Just a few more seconds, just a little farther. Mackenzie follows. The Hellcat screams downward, eating up the distance. But he's being careful now. Conservative. He can't afford a deflection shot. Can't waste ammunition on a low probability kill. He needs to get directly behind the Zero. Close range. No angle. Just straight fire into the enemy's back. The mathematics of aerial combat. Closing speed. Angle off. Lead calculation. Mackenzie's brain processes it all automatically. 40 years of life. 4 years at the Naval Academy. 2,000 hours of flight time. Every lesson, every mistake, every near-death experience has led to this moment. The Zero is 200 yards ahead, then 150, then 100. Close. So close he can see the pilot's head moving in the cockpit, can see the rising sun insignia on the fuselage, can count the rivets in the aluminum skin. Mackenzie checks his ammo counter one last time. Maybe 300 rounds remaining across 3 guns. Enough for one burst. One chance. His father's voice. Measure twice, cut once. Mackenzie puts the gun sight reticle directly on the Zero's cockpit. His finger rests lightly on the trigger. Breathing steady, heart rate controlled. The tremor in his hands from fatigue, from adrenaline, from 4 hours in the cockpit, all of it smooths out. He squeezes. The 3 guns fire. Not the full symphony of 6, just 3. But at this range, 3 is enough. The bullets walk up the Zero's spine, engine cowling, cockpit. The canopy shatters, the plane shudders. White smoke pours from the engine. And then the Zero noses over, gentle at first, then steeper, rolling into an inverted dive, falling into the jungle below. Mackenzie doesn't watch it crash. He's already pulling up, climbing, looking around for threats. But the sky is empty now, silent. The Japanese formation is gone, scattered, fled, destroyed. 9 confirmed kills. The number doesn't register immediately. 9 planes in 90 minutes of combat. It's a record. The highest single sortie kill count by any American naval aviator in the war. But Mackenzie doesn't know that yet. All he knows is the silence, the sudden, complete absence of enemy aircraft. Rivera's voice breaks the quiet. CAGI count 9. You got 9. Mackenzie checks his instruments. Ammunition counter shows maybe 100 rounds left. Enough for perhaps 5 seconds of firing. Fuel gauge shows 1/4 tank, and they're 130 miles from the USS Essex, deep over Luzon, enemy territory. The adrenaline starts to fade, and reality comes crashing in. Tommy, what's your fuel state? A pause, then Rivera's voice tighter now. 1/4 tank CAG, maybe less. Mackenzie does the math. 1/4 tank, 130 miles. The Hellcat burns approximately 70 gallons per hour at cruise. They have maybe 20 gallons remaining. At cruise speed, that's maybe 17 minutes of flight time. They need at least 40 minutes to reach the Essex. The math doesn't work. The math says they're dead. We need to lean the mixture, Mackenzie says. Drop your RPMs to bare minimum. We're going to glide more than fly. CAG, even at minimum consumption, we don't have enough fuel. I know, but we try anyway. Set course 180 due south. And Tommy, sir, stay close. If one of us goes down, the other reports the position. Roger that. The 2 Hellcats turn south, away from Luzon, away from the enemy, toward home, toward the Essex, toward survival. But Mackenzie knows the odds. He's counted them, run the calculations, and the numbers are unforgiving. He pulls the cigar stub from his mouth. It's chewed down to almost nothing. Worthless. But he keeps it anyway. Tucks it back into his flight suit pocket. Some rituals you keep even when they don't help anymore. He looks at Hannah's photograph. Her smile, Jimmy's gap-toothed grin. I'm trying, sweetheart, he whispers. I'm trying. On the USS Essex, the flight deck has become a vigil. Word has spread through the ship. 2 fighters engaged, 60 enemy aircraft. Multiple kills confirmed. But the fighters are bingo fuel, critically low, maybe not enough to make it home. Chief O'Brien stands at the edge of the deck, binoculars raised, scanning the northern horizon. The rest of the deck crew is with him, ordnance men, plane handlers, catapult operators. Even some of the cooks have come up from below. Everyone waiting, watching. The radio speaker on the island superstructure crackles with Mackenzie's transmissions. His voice is calm, professional, but O'Brien can hear the tension underneath, the careful control. The man is running on fumes and willpower. The young sailor from earlier asks quietly, "Chief, what are their chances?" O'Brien doesn't lower the binoculars. Keeps scanning. Honestly, not good. They're over 100 miles out. Fuel for maybe 60 miles. The math doesn't add up. So they're going to ditch? Maybe. If the engines quit, they'll have to put down in the water. Hope we can get a rescue bird to dive them before they drown or the sharks get them. The sailor is quiet for a moment, then softer. The commander has a family, doesn't he? I heard someone say he's got a kid. O'Brien nods. Wife and son, San Diego. The boy's 5 years old. Jesus. O'Brien finally lowers the binoculars, looks at the young sailor. You want to know why Commander Mackenzie did what he did today? Why he went after 60 planes when any sane man would have run? The sailor nods. Because if he didn't, those 60 planes would have hit this ship, would have killed you and me, and 3,000 other sailors. That's why he's out there. That's why he's about to run out of fuel over hostile water, because he decided our lives were worth more than his. The sailor doesn't say anything, just looks back at the horizon. O'Brien raises the binoculars again. Come on, Pops, he mutters. Come on home. Deep in the ship, Lieutenant Walsh is still recording. Her notepad is filled with timestamps, kill confirmations, fuel reports. She's been on the phone with the Admiral 3 times in the last 20 minutes. Each time he asks the same question. Can they make it? Each time Walsh gives the same answer. Unknown, sir. The radio crackles. Mackenzie's voice. Essex, this is Consumer 1. Request final approach clearance and crash crew standing by. Walsh picks up the phone. Admiral, they're inbound, requesting emergency clearance. Are they going to make it? Walsh looks at her calculations. Fuel consumption rates, distance remaining, time elapsed. Sir, the numbers say no, but Commander Mackenzie is still in the air, so I'm not counting him out yet. A pause, then the Admiral's voice quieter. Neither am I, Lieutenant. Neither am I. Mackenzie's engine coughs. The sound is slight, barely noticeable over the normal roar of the Pratt and Whitney radial. But Mackenzie hears it, feels it, the momentary stutter in power, the brief hesitation. The engine is drinking the last drops of fuel from the tank, sucking air, starving. He checks the fuel gauge. The needle is below the E now, not just empty, beyond empty. The warning light is flashing red. Another cough, longer this time. The propeller stutters. RPMs drop. Then the engine catches again, continues running. But it's dying. He can feel it. Tommy, you still with me? Rivera's voice is strained. Barely see a G. My engine's cutting out every few seconds. How far to the Essex? 70 miles. 70 miles. Might as well be 700. They won't make it. The math is absolute, unforgiving. They will run out of fuel before they reach the ship. Mackenzie has 2 choices. He can ditch now while he still has some power, some control. Put the Hellcat down in the ocean gently, increase his chances of survival, wait for rescue, or he can keep flying, milk every last drop of fuel, every last second of engine time, and hope. Just hope. Hannah's voice in it is memory. Promise me you'll come home. Mackenzie keeps flying. The engine coughs again, dies completely this time. The propeller windmills spinning freely in the slipstream, but producing no thrust. The Hellcat becomes a glider. Heavy, aerodynamically inefficient, sinking. Mackenzie watches the altimeter unwind. 18,000 feet, 17,000, 16,000. The ocean below is getting closer. The waves are visible now. Individual whitecaps. The vast, empty Pacific. And then miracle. The engine catches, sputters, roars back to life. The fuel pump has found one more pocket of gasoline somewhere in the tank. One more gulp. One more minute. Mackenzie climbs slightly, regains a little altitude, buys himself a little more time. Consumer 1, this is Essex. A new voice on the radio, the air boss. We have you on radar, 70 miles out. Can you maintain altitude? Negative. Engine is running on fumes. I'll glide as far as I can. Understood. We're clearing the deck. Barrier is rigged. Crash crew is standing by. You're going to demake it, Commander. Mackenzie doesn't respond to that. Doesn't want to make promises he can't keep. He just focuses on flying, on coaxing every last bit of performance from the dying engine, on covering every last inch of distance. 60 miles, 50 miles, 40. The engine dies again. This time it doesn't restart. The propeller stops completely. Locked. The Hellcat is a 15,000-pound brick with wings falling from the sky at 200 feet per minute. Mackenzie pulls the stick back, gently, trades airspeed for altitude, stretches the glide. Below him the ocean waits. Dark blue, cold, indifferent. He thinks about Jimmy, thinks about the promise he made, thinks about the letter he started this morning and never finished. "I'm sorry, Hannah," he whispers. "I tried." And then he sees it, a gray speck on the horizon. The USS Essex, still miles away, still too far, but visible, real. Mackenzie's hands tighten on the stick. He's not done yet. Not while the ship is in sight. Not while there's still altitude to trade. Not while he's still breathing. The Hellcat glides lower. 5,000 feet. 4,000. 3,000. The Essex is getting larger. He can see individual details now. The flight deck, the island superstructure, the tiny figures of men on deck watching. 2,000 feet, 1,000. The radio crackles. Rivera's voice panicked. "Cog, my engine's dead. I'm ditching." Mackenzie looks to his right, sees Rivera's Hellcat propeller stop nose down, heading for the water. The young pilot manages to level off just above the waves. The Hellcat hits hard. Spray erupts. The plane bounces once, twice, then settles into the water, floating for the moment. "I'm down," Rivera reports. "I'm okay, I'm getting out." Mackenzie watches Rivera's canopy slide back, sees the young pilot climb out onto the wing. The Hellcat is sinking nose down, but slowly. Rivera has maybe 2 minutes before it goes under. "Essex, this is Consumer 1. Consumer 2 is down, 40 miles north of your position. Pilot is out of the aircraft and appears uninjured. Request immediate rescue." "Roger, Consumer 1. Rescue helo is launching now." Mackenzie turns his attention back to his own situation. He's at 800 feet. The Essex is 5 miles away. He has no engine, no power, just momentum and altitude. And it's not enough. He's going to fall short. He's going to ditch. Just like Rivera. Just like every mathematical calculation predicted. But Mackenzie has spent his entire life refusing to accept what the math says is impossible. He was supposed to stay discharged from the Navy. The eyesight failure was permanent, but he fought his way back. He was supposed to stay a landing signal officer forever. Too old for combat, but he earned command. He was supposed to run from 60 Japanese planes, but he attacked. And now he's supposed to ditch in the ocean and wait for rescue. But James Mackenzie doesn't ditch. Not while there's altitude. Not while there is a ship in sight. Not while he can still control the aircraft. He pulls the landing gear handle. The hydraulics groan. The wheels extend, more drag, more weight, but also more options. If he can reach the deck, if he can somehow coax this glider close enough, maybe just maybe, 500 feet, 4 miles to the Essex. The Hellcat is falling faster now. The added drag from the landing gear is pulling it down. 300 feet, 3 miles, the men on the Essex deck can see him clearly now. They're waving, shouting, willing him forward. Chief O'Brien has the binoculars pressed so hard to his face he'll have bruises. 200 feet, 2 miles. Mackenzie can see the landing signal officer on the deck, Lieutenant Marcus Brown, one of Mackenzie's former students. Brown has the paddles up ready to guide him in. But what's he going to guide a plane with no power? How do you signal a glider 100 feet, 1 mile? The waves are right below him now, close enough to see individual swells, close enough to touch. Mackenzie's altitude is gone. His airspeed is bleeding off. The Hellcat is on the edge of a stall. Half a mile. Not going to make it. Quarter mile. The math was right all along. And then Mackenzie feels it. A thermal, a pocket of warm air rising from the sun-heated ocean. The Hellcat lifts, just a little, just enough. 50 feet of altitude gained, 50 feet of distance bought, 200 yards. The Essex looms ahead, massive. The flight deck stretches out. Brown is waving the paddles frantically. Cut altitude, slower, slower. Come on, 100 yards. Mackenzie can see individual faces on deck now. Sailors, Marines, chiefs, officers, all watching, all hoping. The Hellcat crosses the fantail of the ship. Low, too low, the tailhook almost dragging on the deck. But Mackenzie holds it level, steady, professional. The wheels touch down, hard, rough. The tailhook catches something, not a wire. The hook skips over the number 1 wire, misses the 2 wire, but catches number 3. The cable stretches, screams. The Hellcat decelerates violently. 0 to 60 to 0 in 3 seconds. The harness cuts into Mackenzie's chest. His head snaps forward. His vision blurs. And then silence. The Hellcat sits on the deck motionless. The engine is dead. The propeller is stopped. The fuel tank is empty. But James Mackenzie is home. The deck erupts. Men running, shouting, cheering. The crash crew arrives, but there's nothing to do. No fire, no injury, just a fighter plane that ran out of gas exactly where it was supposed to land. Mackenzie sits in the cockpit for a moment, hands still on the stick, body shaking. The adrenaline crash is hitting him now. 4 hours of combat, 9 kills, 150 miles of flying on empty. It's too much. His body is shutting down. Chief O'Brien arrives at the cockpit, climbs up on the wing. "Commander, sir, you okay?" Mackenzie doesn't respond immediately. He's looking at Hannah's photograph, still taped to the instrument panel, still smiling. He touches it gently. "I made it," he whispers. "I kept my promise." O'Brien helps him with the harness. "Sir, you need to get out. Let the doc check you over." Mackenzie climbs out slowly. His legs don't want to work. His hands are cramping from gripping the stick for so long. O'Brien and another crew member help him down from the wing. As soon as Mackenzie's feet touch the deck, the ordnance crew descends on the Hellcat. They open the gun bays to inspect the weapons. Standard procedure: check for damage, clear any jammed rounds, prepare for rearming. The chief ordnance officer stares into the gun bay for a long moment. Then he looks up at Mackenzie. His face is pale. "Commander, you need to see this." Mackenzie walks over on unsteady legs, looks into the gun bay. The ammunition belts are empty, almost completely empty. Out of 2,400 rounds loaded before the mission, there are exactly 2 bullets remaining. 2. One in the far right gun, one in the center. Mackenzie had fired 2,398 rounds, destroyed 9 aircraft, and landed with 2 bullets. O'Brien whistles low. "Sir, you cut that close." Mackenzie looks at the 2 remaining bullets, thinks about the 9 Japanese planes falling from the sky, thinks about the mathematical precision required to use ammunition that efficiently. 266 rounds per kill, every burst controlled, every shot calculated. No waste, no panic, just professional violence executed with surgical precision. "Check the fuel," Mackenzie says quietly. The plane captain climbs up, checks the fuel tank with a dipstick. He pulls it out, looks at it, looks again, then climbs back down. "Sir, there's about 1 gallon remaining, maybe less." 1 gallon. At cruise consumption, that's maybe 3 minutes of flight time, maybe 4. Mackenzie had landed with less than 4 minutes of fuel remaining. The deck crew is silent. They're all doing the same math, all reaching the same conclusion. Mackenzie had used every resource available to him. Every bullet, every drop of fuel, every second of time, and he'd brought himself home with nothing to spare. A young sailor breaks the silence. "Sir, is there any damage to the aircraft?" The plane captain and his crew walk around Hannah's Hope, checking the fuselage, the wings, the tail, looking for battle damage, bullet holes, shrapnel tears, anything. They find nothing, not a single bullet hole, not one. In 90 minutes of combat against 60 aircraft, James Mackenzie was never hit. Not once. O'Brien shakes his head in disbelief. Commander, I've been working flight decks for 20 years. I've seen a lot of planes come back from combat. I've never seen anything like this. Mackenzie just nods, too tired to respond, too exhausted to process what just happened. A Marine corporal approaches. Sir, the Admiral wants to see you in flag plot. Immediately. Mackenzie looks down at himself, flight suit soaked with sweat, face covered in gun gas soot, hands shaking. I need a minute. Sir, the Admiral said immediately. O'Brien steps in. The commander will report when he's ready, Marine. He just flew a 4-hour combat mission. He's earned 5 minutes. The Marine looks uncertain but nods. Yes, Chief. Mackenzie walks slowly toward the island superstructure. His legs are steadier now. The shaking is subsiding. He can feel his body starting to recover. The adrenaline is fading, exhaustion is setting in, but also something else. Pride. Not in the kills, not in the numbers, but in the fact that he kept his promise. He touches the photograph in his pocket. Hannah, Jimmy, I'm coming home, he whispers again, and this time he believes it.